6 ways to utilize polyamory on your spiritual journey. Regardless of whether or not you identify as spiritual, religious, atheistic, agnostic, or other, polyamory can be used to enhance your personal growth and self-awareness. Though many may not feel ready to question monogamy at this time, an increasing number of people are attempting a new approach to love and sexuality that is more enlightened than the rigid script that has been handed to us by a deeply dysfunctional society. Although my initial interest in polyamory occurred prior to my spiritual awakening, I was an atheist and simply knew that monogamy never felt like an authentic fit for me. During the past 15 years, I have come to realize that polyamory is a core part of my spiritual path and would like to share the following ways that I believe polyamory, if approached consciously, can be used to deepen one's spiritual growth. 1. Attachment leads to suffering. Polyamory offers an alternative to the idea that your goal in life is to become attached to one person. Mainstream society believes that marriage is the ultimate goal, but the high rates of infidelity and divorce leave billions of people feeling like they have failed. Many continue to believe it's just a matter of finding the right person instead of questioning the system. I have come to believe that the system of monogamy doesn't reflect the way most people actually experience love or sexuality. This leads to suppression of feelings and behaviors. Suppression leads to resentment. Resentment leads to sabotaging relationships that could otherwise be healthy. When we learn that attachment leads to suffering, our ego tries to convince us that there is an exception in romantic relationships. Polyamory offers a more realistic and flexible approach to romance that recognizes the one-at-a-time and one-for-a-lifetime approaches to love and sexuality simply don't work. Instead of being attached to someone and trying to make them forsake all others, polyamory reminds you that the person you fall in love with is an individual who will always be free to make their own choices. Even in polyamory, some try to interfere with free will by saying that they should have a choice in who their partner loves, but this tends to backfire. True polyamory involves letting go and trusting that whatever makes the one you love enjoy their life adds to your happiness as well. 2. Jealousy does not arise from love. Compersion is the opposite of jealousy. It requires transcending the ego, which desires ownership of everything it wants. Compersion is taking pleasure in a lover's enjoyment of others, because you recognize that life is abundant and that there is no point in clinging or restricting. Mainstream beliefs about romance have taught people that jealousy is a good thing, because if they're jealous, that means they love you. In reality, jealousy has nothing to do with love. Jealousy stems from the belief that another person is your possession, and therefore nobody else should infringe upon what belongs to you. The emotional root beneath jealousy is fear, the fear of loss. However, when you realize that controlling another's behavior in order to keep them for yourself only creates resentment, you may then understand that you must let go and trust that everyone you care about must be true to their own path. 3. Individual wholeness. If it is utilized mindfully, polyamory can help you develop a sense of individual wholeness. If you don't always have the guarantee of someone at your side, you must learn to get comfortable in your own skin. Monogamy has enabled a widespread epidemic of codependence. People often become so enmeshed in their dyad that they feel uncomfortable being alone. Many couples engage in unhealthy dynamics where they want more personal space, but concurrently fear that their partner spending time around others may lead to their infidelity, so they keep each other nearby to guard against potential threats. People on a spiritual path often learn that alone time can be a powerful way to deepen your connection with guidance. I advocate that everyone find a way to maintain their own space, whether they are in a relationship or not. When you construct your life in a way that allows for breathing room, you will have more to bring to your relationships. You will feel more solid as an individual, and you will enjoy your time with others more greatly through contrast. As a lover once told me, if we are touching each other all the time, then we won't be able to feel each other. 4. Seeing others clearly. There are so many psychological attachments to labels such as wife, husband, spouse, partner, boyfriend, and girlfriend. I suggest that anyone on a truly spiritual polyamory path let go of terms such as primary, secondary, etc. If you're already married, you may want to remain as such for various legal reasons, but you can still drop the labels and refer to each other as John, Jane, or whatever your names are. This may seem at first to be unimportant, but a deeper investigation of labels and roles reveals that they cause you to lose sight of the other person's individuality. If you say, my wife, or my secondary boyfriend, then you imply possession. All possession is illusion. You may feel comforted by the thought of labeling someone, but spiritual growth is deepening by releasing such illusory comforts and committing to seeing others with clarity as autonomous individuals who are always growing, always changing, and sometimes headed in directions you may not prefer. The ego wants predictability. However, when you are ready to transcend your ego, you will recognize that nobody exists to make your story more comfortable. Love is not about clutching to another or branding them with terms you believe will magically keep them near. Love is like watching a butterfly land in the palm of your hand, not knowing how long it will stay, but understanding that trying to grab onto it will only damage the beauty of the moment. 5. Releasing security. As I have alluded to already, polyamory can allow you to let go of the rigid desire to make your life look predictable. If people try to say, I want to be in a permanent triad, then they are approaching love in almost the exact way monogamous people do. If any member of that triad falls in love with anyone else, your vision is shattered. Spiritual teachings from many masters have taught us that true security never comes from the choices of other people. You have to develop a profound level of wholeness and non-possession that allows for others to follow whatever path they desire. Any attempts to control or manipulate others so that they act like characters in your preferred story will only lead to emotional distance. 6. Transcending Ego. The mainstream monogamous approach to love is so incongruent with spirituality that it often leads to suffering when its rules fall apart. I believe that we are not here to try to achieve happiness and peace by putting a great deal of energy into building a fragile house of cards. I believe we are here to transcend ego. The violence we see being played out on a global level is nothing more than the collective result of many individual choices. If we think it's okay to beat up someone who flirts with our spouse, it's similarly okay to kill people with a different belief system. It's all just aggressive ego trying to control and deluding itself into the belief in superiority. The core threat to the ego is the idea that it is not special. Many people feel emotionally wounded because their families of origin did not teach a healthy form of self-love. Parents who are not conscious will try to remain in control over their children, stifling any attempts to be different. From dysfunctional families and from society at large, we get the message that the point of this life is to try to fit in, follow rules, and behave correctly. One of the rules is that you should only love one person at a time. This often makes no sense when we examine our actual feelings, but most people accept it because they're not ready to confront their jealousy, so it seems like a rule they can put up with. However, once we've suffered enough by trying to follow rules that don't fit who we really are, we eventually come to the realization that we have to walk a different path. We have to release our ego, let go of control, and take the risk of being honest with ourselves and others about how we feel. If we never outgrow the childish desire to be the only special one to another person, we will treat that person like a vital organ who is necessary for our survival. We will play mental games in order to limit the chance that they may take away our specialness by loving another person. This sad little squirmy and insecure approach to romance is the norm. When the light of awareness reveals how petty and empty the current norm is, we can choose to move in a new direction, develop a more beautiful definition of love, and evolve sexually beyond rules that perpetuate shame, fear, and suppression.